Kenny Pickett surprised me because I don't know why I always figured that he would play through that season, just because again that meant so much to Pitt, you know. Again, it's like a New Year's Six bowl. It just meant so much to them. And I don't know, like, again, I know there's like the injury stuff. I always think it'd be interesting, and this is just an idea that I float out there, but the NIL stuff with bowl games, I feel like is going to be really popular in the sense of like, hey, we're going to pay you $1 million to play this game. Because you know how much it'd mean for the school in recruiting if you have like a star on your team like that, in that bowl game, and stuff like that. Like if Kenneth Walker the third, and I don't know if he's going to, if he plays in Michigan State's game against Pitt, like that, I mean, that's going to be huge for Michigan State in the recruiting process. Do you think there's any way to fix that? I mean, obviously the NIL stuff is one way, but do you think there's any way that like players play through the season?
I think there are several ways it could go. I don't know if any of them are a perfect solution, but you bring up a very, very good point as far as, look, I'm not the type to like blame players for sitting out bowl games. Totally understand the logic. South Carolina a few years ago had, if you keep up with NFL, Deebo Samuel on the San Francisco 49ers. He was at South Carolina a few years ago and sat out of our bowl game to get ready for the draft. And he had, a few injuries in college, some severe injuries in college. And so I think general consensus of the fan base was, get ready, go to the draft, do your thing. I think the NIL stuff's very interesting because that wasn't around yet, and it's very new and there's a lot of unknown, I believe, with it still. But I'm with you. If there's some, I guess what you're saying is some incentive baked in where it's okay, X amount of dollars for playing in the bowl game. If you don't get the money for it. Like essentially, like you have,
you're bribing them, right?
In the bowl game, right?
Right, exactly. Or at least, even just be there. Just to be there is kind of a big deal. Even if they don't play.
Yeah, and I mean the bowl game. Look, there is value like in bowl games. Obviously, not everybody can win the national championship every single year, but I even think back to, I'm sure you'll appreciate as a Michigan State fan, but the year that South Carolina, we played Michigan in the Outback Bowl, and Jadeveon Clowney just knocked the guy's helmet off, and it was on SportsCenter top 10 for like 8 months in a row. And that pretty much made him the number one draft pick the next year, because that was his sophomore season when that happened. He had one more year left with South Carolina. He had a good season, but not maybe up to the par that, I mean, the hype machine just got so out of hand with that, because from that point on, everybody expected him to hit every single running back's helmet off every single play. And that's just not realistic. But that one play made him the number one draft pick the next year. Like I still would argue that. And so exposure is still valuable, but I'm with you where, maybe there's a monetary incentive tied in. I know the bowl games do these things. You get, some type of a gift package or whatnot. You get maybe, headphones and some clothes or whatever for going to the bowl game. But with this NIL stuff, I'm a big fan of it because everybody was seeing money except for the people who are actually like producing the product that drives all the revenue.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
and I think it's super great. Like, I mean, I can get my NCAA football video game back. So,
right.
that's at some point, hopefully, obviously.